Testing. I can't hear anything.
You're up. He's talking about headphones. I got you.
Welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People on Spirit 1400. There I am. How y'all doing today on this beautiful, beautiful day? Me and Jason was in deep conversation, and what we're going to talk about as we do, again, welcome to each and every one of you. Those who join us every Sunday at 3:30 and those who join us every Monday at 11:30 on WOLB 1010 Baltimore. What a lovely day. I don't know if many of you went to church today. Sister Minnie and Brother Few was there this morning at our church.
Had church.
If they didn't have it at all. Well, we had it, but I did my best to move the choir members a little seat in between each of them. They wasn't having it. Okay,
3 feet apart.
Yeah, I was doing my best, but they wouldn't. That's my seat. I said, "All right, go on and sit down." And so, but the pastor had all the ushers to have sanitizer, so everybody came in that door. They cleaned that door behind them and stuff, because they say we're panicking, but it's better to be safe, because you just don't know who it is. I was laughing because y'all know the great Patrick Austin, who is probably the world's greatest pipe organist and one of the greatest musicians, was in a restaurant, and this man was coughing and hacking, and he didn't go wash his hands and stuff, and the waitress that was waiting on them waited on him, and she touched his hands, and then came to Patrick's table. Well, that was immediate benediction for them.
I already know.
They both start covering their faces and telling her, never mind, she just laid the menu on the table and proceeded to get out of there. You got to watch people. Some people are just null and void.
Mind you, when you run in the house, your mama said, "Did you wash your hands before you go in my refrigerator, boy?"
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Did you wash your hands?
This changes a whole lot of habits of some people who just don't feel the need. But right now, y'all, we need to feel the need to take care of ourselves and look out for each other. If there was ever a time that we need to do that.
I think more than anything, it really shows how communal we are.
Mm-hmm. Or the lack of communal.
Well, we're communal in the sense that we're all connected.
Right. Oh, I hear you there.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
But acknowledging it is a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
My pastor preached on that today.
Yeah.
Talked about, how much God loved us, but how much do we love one another? Mm-hmm. See, that's the thing.
And I think that's what was absence before this whole, we're calling it the Rona-virus in our community.
What you call it?
The Rona.
Rona?
We ain't calling it Corona. We're calling it Rona.
Why you call it Rona?
So we got to take everything and make it our own.
Okay,
so
okay.
In the community, we calling it the Rona-virus.
Okay, the Rona-virus.
The
Rona, you need to run away from the Rona and make sure you don't get, if you got a little cough or hack or anything, and the fever, and the kids are all home now for the next, 2 weeks?
Yeah, and we had Senator Antonio Hayes on Larry Young Morning Show who said there's a possibility that it may be extended 2 more additional weeks. So there's a possibility they're waiting to see, but this may end up being 4 weeks. In Virginia right now, they are actually on out of school for 4 months. 4 weeks.
Really?
So for a whole
in
month.
Virginia?
Yeah, in Virginia. Yep,
wow.
So
yeah, one of my piano students goes to private school over there, and his grandmother is excited because she's going to get to have more time with him. Y'all, let this be a special time with the kids. Just don't let them sit around the house.
Well, that's
and do
what I'm
nothing.
afraid of, and I'm hoping that that some of our folks can check in on the younger ones, because remember during the Freddie Gray uprising, and we were out of school for a couple of days during the uprisings because of the state of emergency. We had some young folks that took it as an opportunity to run amok. So
we haven't had no killings though since the Rona been on the thing, have we?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, we did. We did have some. We had a violent weekend.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It had somebody. They was laughing about it. See, well, we get the Rona. Patrick Austin, who put stuff on phone book, he was talking about, hadn't been no killing. I say, I know, because all they got to do is meet somebody and they start coughing and hacking. The killer probably going to try to get away from them as fast as they can.
I think what it's been is the media has been, kind of overplaying. And there's been an oversaturation of coronavirus news that's all you see in the headlines.
Man,
so
I watched a special on MSNBC last night, and he went back to the very beginning of it, and how Trump, Trump, He shut down all those departments that Obama had set up from
CDC
Ebola. Closed them all
the
down.
EPA.
Yep, closed them all down. They had
The Department of
mechanisms.
Justice, all of our departments are all
and this
been dismantled.
Dr. Fauci said, well, what that did was that was always good for them because they had them working. They had people with expertise. Now they don't have those people. So they can't call them and say what's going on here and going on there and be able to do things. But the biggest travesty for Trump is that there are not enough tests. Korea is doing 10,000 a day.
Yeah.
And we don't even have. I think we got about 1,500 that have been done, and you still can't get a test.
I think what's going to be a factor in Trump's reelection is this Ebola crisis. A lot of folks were comparing this to.
You mean this coronavirus?
Coronavirus. What did I say?
You said Ebola.
Oh, I'm sorry, Corona. I'm sorry. Look, Ebola, Corona, they're all viruses. No,
they kill a bunch of people.
Right. But a lot of folks was comparing this to Jimmy Carter back in the 90s and the Iran terrorist, and George Bush Sr. not being able to handle, his administration and conflicts during his administration. A lot of folks are feeling that this may be the end all for Trump, that he will not be able to recover.
Do you
because
believe?
of his response.
Do you believe he's come in contact and shook hands and hung out with people that have been proved positive? You think he's telling the truth or lying when he says he hasn't? He said he wasn't going to take the test. Then he said he took the test. But then Mike Pence came right behind him and said that he hadn't taken the test. That's what happens when you lie.
Right. I think you have to question anything he says, especially when, remember, he was going through the health check. And here's somebody that eats, Big Macs and French fries and Cokes all day long, and is going to sit there and say, I'm fit as a fiddle, knowing that you definitely probably have some cholesterol issues.
Man, he's got to be diabetic, absolutely.
Right, but his doctor came back and said, oh, yeah, he's healthy as a horse.
Yeah, right, and everybody went, They lied about his height, and they brought his height down so they could put him under the parameter for being obese. Right. Just to lie, he'll just lie for no reason. But the thing of it is, he'll lie for no reason and kill a bunch of people. That's the part that scares everybody. That's showing him he's just unfit to be president. It is, and he is obviously does not like black people. What's her name? The young lady from NPR. When she got up to ask him a question, and she asked him about the test and stuff, and he said, oh, that's a nasty question. When the other white women asked him, their questions weren't nasty. So this man is just as redneck and just as bad as they come, just like Joe Biden. And y'all gonna see that Joe Biden is not who y'all think he is. All you got to do is Google his name and look at his track record. I don't want Trump to win, but I'm telling you, but just think about
the 40 years. I shared a story with you too as well. The 40 years of Biden's legacy, and and everybody keeps forgetting. I hate to keep bringing up Clarence Thomas and Anita Hill, and just the sexist attitude that he had towards Anita Hill.
He fought against busing. I don't care what y'all say. I was hoping we would get bused to another school. I never went to school with nobody but black kids. Never had nothing but black teachers. I always wondered what it was like in those other schools. I actually do. And he was one of the main ones said he didn't feel like black kids need to sit next to white kids to get an education. Of course we did. We was getting not only old books, but information that was old in our schools, whereas the white kids were getting the first editions of the books. So there's just no excuse to vote for this man. This is his track record.
Now I do believe in evolution, so I do believe that we have the ability to evolve from out of our ways. And he may have had an epiphany and have decided to evolve in his old ways.
What do you say to those that say?
But the saying, you can't change the spots off a leopard.
No, but I'm going with Maya Angelou, who says when somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Yeah. And he had 40 years of doing these things.
So he may have been acceptance into, or may have acceptance or tolerance for women's issues now, for civil rights issues now, but there's still probably an underlying preference, and you have to be careful with somebody that has an underlying preference because they're always going to side for white nationalism.
Exactly, but that's what he's going to do. And I still didn't understand till I read the other day. Somebody said the reason Obama chose him because he knew that them rednecks liked him.
Right.
You know, because of the stand against busing and segregation and integration.
But what's interesting is that our community has a love and an admiration for Biden because we feel that he was loyal to President Obama.
Like he had a choice.
I mean,
he had a choice.
But they felt that he was a loyalist, that he was there for him. You know, that he defended him many times, especially with the birther issue.
If Obama, if he was so loyal to Obama, how come Obama has not endorsed him?
And that's one thing that we've talked about.
That's what y'all need to look at. If he was really on top of it like that, Obama would have endorsed him. What's the lady name that's running for mayor here that worked for Obama?
You're talking about Mary Washington.
Mary
Miller. Mary Miller.
Yeah,
Mary Miller. Yep.
Yeah, she worked for Obama.
But she still hasn't got an endorsement either from them.
No, but
somebody who is in the political landscape gave me their theory as to why. Because you don't want to take the chance that somebody that loses, you representing being a high figure that you are. So you don't want to endorse somebody that may not necessarily have that tenacity to.
What are you thinking of her,
odds.
Mary Miller?
I like her. Don't get me wrong, and I think that she has. So she's one of those ones that don't talk necessarily everything about criminal justice or
no, but I like what she talks about when she talks about redlining and the discrimination that has been record racism in Baltimore.
That's been my biggest issue with not just local races but with the presidential race as well, is that everybody is identifying all these issues and all these generational curses that have been put onto the urban community, and it just shocks me. It validates even more why we should have reparations, not even just on the national level, but in some cases on the local level, because you have Mary Miller talking about redlining policies and economic policies.
How bad they are.
She said, we can't go back to the past, but we can, forge ahead.
With a brighter future.
With a brighter future.
I like that about her.
That, but you still have to say, well, if you've hurt me in the past, technically I have some sort of, legal liability against you for what you have done to me, my ancestors, and everyone else in the process.
Well, it don't.
Shouldn't there be some sort if not necessarily reparations, there should be a greater advantage if you're going to move forward with this forward progress that we have versus the status quo and the power brokers that have always had.
I agree with you, and we've been saying for a minute, haven't we, Jason, that we thought we might end up getting a white mayor this time, because of the long history of bad black mayors that we've had. Bad women mayors and black women mayors, and we might get a white. I thought it very interesting and no put down intended, but all of our mayors were members of Bethel AME Church, all of them. Dixon, Rollins, Blake, and Pugh.
And many folks argue they're saying what type of fruit is being produced out of that church.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
A lot of folks are saying that.
They sure don't seem to be saved, But you know what, though? It's a weird thing about being saved. A preacher was at my church last week, a bishop. Bishop Coventry was his name. And he talked about, as long as we worshiping God in heaven, and not understand that God is in us, then we always got an excuse. But when you say God is in me, then your basic integrity should change, because then, as long as he's somewhere off, that means, well, Lord, I can do what I'm gonna do, and I can lie to people, I can put people down, I can be mean to people, I can be condescending to people.
But isn't that what they teach you in the Bible, that you are made within the Creator's image?
Yeah,
and
people get mad at me because the Bible says, do you not know that you are God? I had a big argument yesterday with a lady about that. She said, you ain't no God. I said, God is my father. If my father is my father, I'm his son. I'm his child. I am the descendant of a God. So I am. That don't mean I think I got these magical powers and stuff, but I understand that my forthrightness, my honesty, my integrity, my love for my brother and sister is who God is.
And then what's the other saying in reference to love thyself as you
love your neighbor
love
as
thy
you love
neighbor.
yourself. And Jesus said,
Yeah.
He said, I give you
Or
two
love thy neighbor
commandments.
as you love thyself.
Exactly. And the first
Right.
one was to love the Lord thy God with all your heart. But he said the
Right.
second one is like unto it, and it's just as important
Yeah.
that you love your neighbor as you love yourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't love it. My preacher's preaching a series of sermons on loving each other. And he was talking to me, and I was saying, Pastor, I don't think they know because nobody never teach them about it.
Right.
I never heard a sermon about it.
Right.
And he's preaching a series about it, about
Wow.
loving one another, y'all. And that goes, and this gets us into our next topic. There is a video that Jason turned me on to called Zeitgeist. Jason, you want to tell us about the premise of what that is?
So it's a series of documentaries that someone wrote in reference to talking about just greed, world greed, talks about the 1%. And there's several series. One series goes really deep into mental health as well. I was trying to look up the name of the title. There was a few of them. Addendum is the first one that talks about greed and corporate, the corporate structure, and talks about the Federal Reserve.
Right. Well, the one that got me was where he was talking
moving
about
forward is the other
how
one.
they take pain. It takes pain to make money.
Yeah.
They ain't trying to heal you. The doctor's not trying to heal you.
Yeah.
They basically trying to keep you buying medicine and coming to see them because that's their living. The prison industrial complex is traded on Wall Street. People own stock in it.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan used to own one of the biggest stockholders. Used to be. I don't know if he was finally shamed out of doing it, but I believe
in Addendum they talk about things like, for instance, folks that are in that top 1% don't care about those down on the bottom. It's the reason why they would move a Walmart into a small community and knock out all the small businesses. Or in some cases why your factories are closing up and moving offshore, because they really care less about you and care more about corporate greed.
Exactly. And you look at it, and we think that these people care. So finding an honest politician these days is really like looking for a needle in a haystack. You don't know who they are until you elect them.
Yeah.
And I promise you, y'all going to be mad at Joe Biden. I tell you what, if he wins this election, you are going to be mad. There's only one person that is coming that's talking about health care for all, forgiving college debt.
But it's interesting, though, if you watch Addendum
That's Bernie
is saying,
Sanders.
Well, Addendum talks about, the politics, and it says that, unfortunately, all politicians get corrupted because they all fall into lobbyists. They all fall into of the greed of the top 1%. So it's the top 1% that technically are the puppet masters. And even when you get somebody in like a Bernie, they'll still find a way to make sure that their interest is involved in it. It's just like they gave an example of corporate oil. GM decided to come out with an all-electric car, the EV1. That was the first car. But because it upset... Electric car was the first electric car. But because it upset all the oil barons and all the oil tycoons, GM basically folded up the car. And because they had the patents and all the technology rights to the battery technology and everything that was involved in the car, they wouldn't allow anybody else to build it for almost 10, 15 years. Because, the patent didn't allow people to be able to regenerate what they did.
Until Obama came through.
Well,
that's when the breakthrough.
Right, that's when the break. But for the longest, GM held on to these rights and to these, patents, and wouldn't let the technology go because of the influence from the oil barons and the oil tycoons. They didn't want to, because that would have changed. That would have got our dependency off of oil.
Sure.
And onto electric vehicles.
You know what? We're going to take some calls. 410-481-1400.
And Pat, I may have to run out on you because I do have a show at 4:00, so I may have to run out on you.
All right. Thank you, J.D. Well, I ain't through with you yet. Don't go nowhere. I want to talk about at what cost. I want to talk about this child support system that they're talking about in Baltimore and how relative it is. I'd like some input from you all about it.
And I did want to put, I don't know if you saw my post the other day. I said that our issues in the world are not technical. I mean, the issues in this world are technical and not political. So if we could solve hunger, which is a technical issue, if we can solve health issues, which is a technical issue. It's all surrounding science and medical field, and get away from the political issues, we would be a better place.
Yes, we would be. Ben, how are you?
Hey, how y'all doing?
We're doing pretty good. What you got to say for us today?
Now, watch this here now. You may know this, may not know this. Did you know that the government gives the Catholic Church $1 billion to take care of the Hispanic people? Now, let me explain this now. There's no discrimination against Hispanic people. I got a lot of friends of mine that are Hispanic. But the idea is, if they're going to be fair, and we pay taxes too, they should do the same thing to help us out too.
I never heard that before. Where do you hear that?
I heard it on a station called WBG, and they said it real late at night. And tell you another thing they said. They said that everybody else has to be quarantined in the world, right? Except for Britain. That's where the globalists live at, in Britain. They want this to happen.
All right, I want to go back. See, I think they're looking for scapegoats. I heard that about the Koreans too, and that's not true. What the No, it's not true, because what the Koreans do, they have a business network where they come in, and people can come in at a level and get involved and stuff, and eventually own their own stores and stuff, because they don't sell to outside of their race.
Well, man, let me tell you something better than that you may not even know. Now you check this out, because I already know it's true, because I know some of the Koreans that do this. The stores that the Koreans got are owned by the Jewish people.
They used to be.
And well, some of them still do own it.
Oh, really?
They just fronting for them.
They fronting or leasing? Well,
they front and leasing.
Okay.
As if it's theirs.
Well, I don't blame the Jews. I wouldn't sell them either. Somebody else to run them and stuff and pay them a royalty like that. I'm not angry with them. I think that's wisdom, don't you?
But the idea is, But here's the thing that I think is wrong. And some Koreans I get along very well, because I respect what they do. Now I watch them. They don't want you to help them do nothing in the store. Like if they stock outside and you try to help them bring it inside, they say no. I get it. See, they don't want to be obligated to you whatsoever, because they taught certain things about you and I that they believe. And a lot of times some stuff is real, but they still sell us bad food.
Some of them,
a lot about that. They still do that. Now, I remember one time my father told me they had the riot in Baltimore City, and he said that they came on Pennsylvania Avenue, just burning up all the stores. The Koreans came out the stores and said, "Me nigga."
And said what?
Me nigga. They said we wouldn't. They said they were niggas too. We niggas.
They said we black too.
Like they meant to say black, but they said we niggas too. And they ain't robbing the store. I'm just trying to show you how it benefits them certain time, but sometimes they sell some of the dirtiest food that you ever thought they'd do with sellers.
Yeah, well, they're not the only ones. You know what I mean? But I just, I don't know if y'all paying attention. There's this guy from Texas named Tom Cotton who's trying to blame all the Chinese for the coronavirus. Trying to put it on people, and the people that's Chinese are saying people are looking at them with disdain. And
you got to admit it did come from China.
Wait, watch this. This is really deep. Last night they said this. Now, if they didn't go this way with AIDS, how didn't go the way with the coronavirus? People walking around with AIDS. And they still didn't close down those schools.
Because it wasn't contagious like that. You had to change.
It still was a situation where you could get it if you got coughed on and spit on.
No, that wasn't true. That's why they didn't do it. You couldn't cough on it. You had to have changed body fluids.
Exchange of body fluids.
Now, why would they do this now? Now, just from an economical standpoint, why would they do this now? Because somebody wants to make a lot of money. Think about it.
If they wanted to make a lot of money, they would have had those tests ready. How can they make money? The stock market just lost $2 trillion last week. So who's making money? Come talk to me.
Okay, I'm gonna talk to you. Watch this here. Now listen, they're not trying to sell you anything, but they're gonna get a lot of things. Watch this. Now look, all the supermarkets pretty much like a bear. No food in there whatsoever, right? Got the food, man, because a friend of mine work at Walmart. They got food stocked up. They're waiting for the bum rush. when they open it, they say hold out a little longer until they get so worse that they're going to be pay these prices that we want to charge them for it.
Yeah,
They're not stupid.
but the government is already suing people for price gouging. They seem to be on it. That's one thing I can say. If the people's charging $150 on Amazon or something for a bottle of sanitation, and the people people in the state where they were selling it sued them and charged them with fraud for price gouging. So it just seems like I hear you. Time is running away, but thank you always, Ben, for your diligence and looking out. But I tell you what, man, I'm not trying to.
Give me your phone number right now. I meant to call.
Okay, 410
410. Go ahead.
258
Mhm.
7373.
I knew that was the number. I kept calling it 285.
No, it's 258 7373. 410. All right, Ben. Thank you. All right. Listen, you all, every week I keep getting ahead of this. For Baltimore's poorest family, the child support system exacts a heavy price. It's hurting whole communities. Maryland's child support system, intended to sustain children, is actually hurting some of the state's neediest families, especially in Baltimore. An investigation by the Baltimore Sun has found. Under the dysfunctional system, parents in struggling city neighborhoods owe tens of millions of dollars in back child support, a whopping $33 million in one West Baltimore zip code. That's my zip code. This debt has accumulated under policies widely seen as short-sighted, if not nonsensical. It is often owed by men who cannot afford to pay what the government has decided is due. Now, in the city with a high level of poverty and crime, child support is yet another corrosive force in Baltimore, an undertow invisible to most. Advocates and researchers agree the system's policy are not only hurting fathers, but are tearing apart families and pulling down neighborhoods. An expert says the weight of that debt winds up encouraging men to join the underground economy. Y'all know what that is, selling drugs, right? Policies are completely counterproductive to family stability, safety, economic sufficiency, and communities, particularly poor communities, say Joe Jones, founder of the Center for Urban Families in Baltimore. The Sun's 9-month investigation found many of Baltimore's most challenged neighborhoods are saddled with massive child support debt. It is concentrated in 10 city zip codes, where about 15,000 parents collectively owe more than $233 million, according to the Sun's analysis of child support data. Much of it is regarded as unrecoverable because the debt is very old and owed by people who cannot pay. When non-custodial parents, mostly dads, are unemployed, they are routinely ordered to pay child support based on imputed income, a calculation of what they could earn if they had a job. These fictitious earnings do not reflect the barriers that may prevent someone from getting a job, such as a lack of skills or criminal records. And such orders ignore research that shows parents are more likely to comply with their child support order if it's based on their actual ability to pay. Did y'all hear what I said? If it's based on what they make, they will actually pay it. But if they say what they could have, it's just a crock, because we know how hard it is to get a job if you have a record. All right? In many cases, not all of the money the fathers are paying is going to the family. And I'm going to stop right here. That is because the men must repay the government for welfare. The aid is essentially a loan. A lot of guys don't understand that. When they get these young girls pregnant or get these women pregnant or whatever, and they think that they don't have to pay, you have to pay for that baby being born. Oh, yes, they chalk all that up and put it on your bill. Every time that baby goes to the doctor, all of that goes to the dentist or needs eye glasses or something like that, you have to pay for that. Okay, time is up. I want to get to this tomorrow, but we're going to talk about mental health on tomorrow. If you missed the show last week, it was a great show. It was a blessing to so many people. So we want you to Tune in tomorrow at 11:30 on WOLB 1010 Baltimore or WOLBbaltimore.com at 11:30. You have been listening to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People on Spirit 1400. We love you. We're praying for each and every one of y'all. And I tell you what, be kind to each other. And you got them babies at home, just don't be sitting there letting them do nothing. Go to Goodwill and get some books and make sure they have them read it and write you a report. That's right. Don't let them just sit around there. If you go to my page, I published a little itinerary that you can do with the kids while they're home. Just don't let them sit around, y'all. Call the school and find out if the teacher has homework, if there's homework assignments. But do not let this be idle time. It's too important. Again, thank you all for your support. You've been listening to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People on Spirit 1400. Have a blessed balance of the day.
WWIN Baltimore, WWIN HD Baltimore.
On the web at spirit1400.com.
Spirit 1400, the spirit of today's gospel.
The spirit of today's gospel.
Let's go. I don't know what you're going through, but we stopped by to tell you that what's in front of you is bigger than what's behind you. Your destiny, your promise, your future. You might as well shout before you get it. Because God sent me here to tell you that what he has for you is gonna be big.
I believe
that it's my season.
that it's my season.
You ought to declare that over your own life. Say, I believe
I believe
that it's my time.
that it's my time.
It's my time.
It's my time.
And I can feel it.
I can feel it.
Say breakthroughs in the room.
Breakthroughs in the room.
It's yours if you want it. Anticipating.
Anticipating.
God's getting ready to move.
God's getting ready to move.
Listen, you ought